Good evening, everybody. After a long break due to COVID, we're finally back in Bergen. I wish you all welcome to three very exciting presentations from what we say is newcomers to the industry, or people we don't know very well, as Stuart says. So I'd like to thank all the viewers around the world joining us tonight on the live stream. Welcome. As you can see, our sponsorship is on the screen there. They're our sponsors. They're vital to NOSP. We are a charity, so we need money to keep running and put on events like this evening. Going forward, there are speaking opportunities from anywhere in the world. We can log you on remotely from wherever you are, and if you want to do a presentation, contact us at nosp.no and we'll take it from there. And finally, going forward, different events. Next event is also a live event. It's the NOSP annual dinner in Stavanger on the 17th of November at Bergen Moi. There's a link on our website for booking places. They're going fast, so got to be quick. And then in January, we'll move over to Oslo for a presentation, and back to Bergen here in the Huset in March for our next event. Okay, I'd like to introduce our first presenter this evening, Bjørn Jensen from RGO Survey. Bjørn writes himself, "I'm an old fart with more than 25 years in the seismic survey industry." His background with a MSc in cybernetics with focus on automation of navigation and positioning marine vessels. He's done short stints offshore as a PGS seismic navigator. That's when I first got to know him. I was doing project support for PGS at the time. He was my client. And then in 2005, he moved on to more operational posts. First heading up the marine operations as VP of operations in PGS, before joining iSurvey as managing director until 2014. Then with a short period as COO in Magseis, before he's now with CEO in RGO. Welcome, Bjørn. As your presenter.
Let's see if we can get the technology to work. I'll try not to kill you with PowerPoint, but I'll do my very best. John said that I should try avoid making it a sales pitch, but that was very hard. First and foremost, thanks for having me here. It's a golden opportunity to spread the word about RGO. We're a young company. That said, it's not that young, but in the business that we are focusing on now, we are relatively fresh meat. And it's all about digitizing the ocean space, utilizing automated and robotized solutions, and also to a large degree implement new sensors as well, and combine these with more robotized solutions. We were actually founded, the company was founded in 2017 by Trond Krantz. I'll get back a little bit to that. We are located in Hvalstad, but we also have a small office in Tromsø, where we have first and foremost geophysical and geotechnical competency that's sitting up in Tromsø doing a lot of the geophysical processing and interpretation. It says 30 employees, but I think the slide must be at least a week old, so I think we are homing in on 35 by now. It's growing very fast. We got listed on the Oslo Stock Exchange in April, 2 days after we secured the funding. So it's been a very rapid and fast moving thing. What is it all about, and why are we here, and what do we want to achieve? The the mission we set out to do was to try and transform the ocean surveying and inspection industry. Not necessarily so much by delivering some new fancy data. We do want to do that as well, but more trying to make more cost-efficient solutions by using autonomous underwater and surface vehicles, and also implement new and unique sensors and imaging technology. And I'll get back to that because these are things that we are advancing quite far in already at this stage. So it's making it faster, better, greener, and at a lower cost. That's the vision. We'll see how it goes. It's early days. And the greener aspect is becoming more and more important for the client and for the world as a whole, obviously. So that's another important aspect of what we try to achieve. A little bit about the team that kicked the whole thing off. It was actually Tom brought in some old friends. Torbjørn came in 2019. I came in a bit over a year and a half ago, and the CFO, and we have one common denominator. We have all worked in PGS, but not necessarily at the same time. It's a strong team with a lot of experience from, first and foremost, marine seismic. That's where we all sort of started off, more or less. Some in the technology and R&D side of it. Myself from operations, as John mentioned, I've spent quite a lot of years, about 16 and a half years in PGS in various roles. The last 4 of them as for heading up all the global operations, marine operations in PGS. I had a short stint in iSurvey as managing director for the Norwegian branch of iSurvey when they started sort of expanding into Singapore, Berlin, and so forth. And then I had 5.5 years in Magseis until we purchased a company that was twice our size, and I guess it ended up being them taking over us. So about half a year after we'd taken them over, the whole management team was kicked out. So tough luck. And that's how I ended up in Argeo. We have a very strong team, a lot of experience, but way more important, we have an extremely strong team that we've hired now with a lot of competency related to electromagnetics and hydroacoustics. That's on the R&D side and development side. Deep sea mineral expertise. One of our employees have participated in all the exploration surveys on the Månsryggen and sort of the mid-Atlantic ridge, which MPD is exploring currently. We have a very, very strong geophysical team, strengthening our survey side and basically all sides of the operational aspect. We like to call ourselves Argonauts, and this is where it all comes from. It's old Greek myth, and these were the 50 sailors that sailed with Jason when he tried to find the golden fleece. That's where it stems from. And the geo is obviously because it started off as a geophysical company more than a survey company per se, at least in the marine side. A little bit about the history. It started off in 2017. A lot of stuff went on onshore. First AUV survey was conducted with a rented AUV back in 2019, and I guess that sort of spurred the motivation to dive literally further into that part of the business. But up until basically this year, the primary part of our work has been related to geophysical surveys, first and foremost online. I'll get a little bit back to that. So this few glimpses into our past. This is a lot of the stuff we did, and that was quite a good day. We've done a lot of stuff related to railroads, bridge crossing, geophysical surveys. This is across Glom. Is it? No, Gudbrandsdalslågen. This is related to hydro power tunnel up in the mountains in southwest Norway. And this is the cake we celebrated when we had done that job up in the mountains. This is quite a large job we did for Nye Veier in Mjøsa, related to the new Mjøsa bridge and expansion of the E6 along Mjøsa between where the bridge lands and all the way up to Biri. So this was a combination of land seismic, marine seismic, and also some UHR seismic. There were some bad days as well, and this is also related to this Mjøsa job, because we used dynamite as source, and one of them ended up a little bit too close to our cable, luckily, and not some of our uncharted power cables and telecommunication cables that are somewhere in Mjøsa, and no one has a clue where they are. But apparently now they're going to do a big survey covering the whole of Mjøsa, from what I heard. The University in Gjøvik, I think. One of the ice survey guys is working up there, and they're going to do a big survey with a Hugin, doing a hydrographic survey of the whole of Mjøsa. There are no sea charts for Mjøsa. So that's quite exciting. And this is also from Mjøsa. There was one line we couldn't finish before. It wasn't hell that froze over, but Mjøsa did. So we actually gathered seismic, or recorded seismic, putting out the geophones on the ice, and used a sledgehammer as a source, and that worked like a dream. So we got one of our field guys. He's an ex-professional handball player. He's the man with the big hammer. But there's also a lot of hard work, and this is another job we did this spring. Actually, this is from the landslide at Gjerdrum, where we were hired in to do further investigations to try and understand the geophysical and geotechnical issues related to this landslide. So these data were used. Oops, I need an update, but I'm not sure. Remind me later, I guess. Yeah. So these data here were actually used to produce this report that came out recently, and to allow them to draw the conclusions that they did. This is from our very first AUV survey in 2019. This was related to survey anchor locations for this enormous offshore fish farm, Havfarm 2. Using a rented Munin AUV from Kongsberg. Very successful, and I think this is when Trond realized that this is where he wanted to go. This is where he wanted to take the company. So this is a glimpse into the future. This is not exactly what we are procuring, but because this is a prototype that Teledyne Gavia upon Iceland has produced. But we have basically ordered 2 of these, slightly modified, and I'll get back to some of the details. But this is where we want to go, both with regards to AUVs, but we also have a big focus on ASV or USVs, if you like. Because we believe that there is a significant potential in both going autonomous subsea, but also replacing the stuff topside, replacing that with UAVs. This is not rocket science. This has been done before and so forth, but it hasn't really been commercialized big scale as of today. So, what is it all about? Technology services through high quality sensor and data, because the sensors are important for us, and the client, they don't really give a shit whether it's yellow or black, or whether it's long or thin or whatever. What they care about is the data. That's what they're there for. So it's about cost, it's about quality, it's about timeline, and so forth. So ASV, USV, ROVs, what have you, in all honesty, they don't really care. So it's down to sensors, and it's down to making it more efficient. So we believe that it's possible to achieve this. And again, it's not really rocket science, because some of it is given. You reduce the number of personnel if you can go with either a smaller vessel topside, or even replacing the topside vessel and survey vessel with a USV. Using that as the topside link, there is a significant saving. And directly out of that falls low CO2 emissions. You fly extremely close to your target, so you get very, very good data quality and a much higher resolution. Well, you can get the same stuff with an ROV, but the ROVs, they move very, very slow compared to an AUV. So not really rocket science, but again, our standpoint in this case is that we will focus entirely on this thing here. We do not want to be the owner of big lumps of steel, because that's expensive, in particular when the times are not so good. I've been in that business also, so I know. ROVs, they are like bricks or shoeboxes and not very hydrodynamic. There are a few exceptions, but they do move slow and they have limitations. They create more inherent noise than what you get out of an AUV. So, but again, not rocket science. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this, because I mean the markets, you know probably more about these markets than I do, but as I'm told someone, I had a quick look at this fancy thing called internet. I pulled out a file showing all the subsea telecommunication cables that's been installed since 1998 until 2018. Over a period of 20 years, there was 1.4 million kilometers of subsea telecommunication cables that has been deployed. Not all of it's going to be surveyed, by no means, but the market is significant. It's enormous. Pipelines, how many kilometers out in the North Sea? 10, 12,000 kilometers? It's an enormous potential. I mean, someone's surveying this already, by all means. But if you can get in there with faster, cheaper, lower emission and greener and better data quality, I'm sure there is a significant market out there. Offshore wind, big in Norway, big in Japan, coming all over the place. There's a lot of focus on this, and there is a lot of cabling related to it. There's site surveys related to it. Oil and gas, obviously, big thing. And then there is deep sea minerals, which is something we are focusing heavily on. And this has been a driver on our selection of AUVs, because they are to be found at extreme depths, typically from 3,000 meters and down. So the plains in the Pacific are typically at 3, 4, 5, 6,000 meters. So we are in the process. Well, we have actually purchased it. We are in the process of taking delivery of the first of these. It's produced by Teledyne Gavia up on Iceland. Is it really up from here? It's down, is it? I'm not sure actually. Is it up? Yeah, it's a little bit up from here. Yeah. Anyway, spec to the brim with what we believe is the latest and greatest, more or less. I'm sure that someone will claim that no, this is better than that, and you should have chosen that, and God knows what. What is important for us is the endurance, which is homing in on 50 hours plus for this version. We're already in dialogue with them to see if they can make what should we call them, a range extender for taking it up to 10 days. So these are all commercial stuff, but this here is something that's proprietary to Argeo. And I'll get back to some of that stuff a little later on, because we do believe there is a significant potential, not only for deep sea minerals, but also for other survey types. They are rated to 6,000 meters, and that's important for us. very important. The fleet of 6,000 meter rated AUVs is very limited, and I guess Ocean Infinity have more or less all of them currently. And there's quite a big market and growing market out there, and the surveys are very, very large. This is what we have currently. We purchased a second-hand Hugin that we got through the door just before Christmas last year. It's been in operation this spring and this autumn. Only 1,000 meter rated, but it was sort of the stepping stone and starting point for us. Does not have the same specs as the Teledyne Sea Raptors. But we are not only focusing subsea, we are also true believer of swapping out some of the big vessels topside. So we have placed an order for this one. It's got an endurance of up to 30 days. We intend to use it for shallow water surveys and a few other things that we have in mind that we will get back to later on. But equally important as a topside vessel for AUV operations. It will have, as you can see, it will have a modular deck here where we can swap out payloads. We also have 2 moon tools where we can fit different type of instruments. We're also in tight dialogue with Elon on this movie star, I guess it is these days. Plays a vital role in this new catastrophe film called Norwegian. I think it is, yeah. I haven't seen it though, but apparently it's playing a vital role. And we have a very close relationship to Kongsberg and Elam. Have an intention to become sort of a first mover and taking part in the process of commercializing this tool, which again we believe can make a difference in various aspects of the survey industry where they are currently using ROVs. But it's all about the data. Obviously, replacing some of the vessels with AUVs. As you can see here, one is being delivered this now due to be delivered early December, the second in February 2022. But these are just vehicles. It's all about the data. So we want to do something on this side here, both with regards to data acquisition, but also related to data management and hosting data and selling software as a service through a portal that we are currently working on. I mentioned sensors, and where we have done quite a lot of work is on the EM side, the electromagnetic side, developing sensors and systems that we believe can actually make a difference. I think we had a discussion here earlier today. I mean, the pipe trackers available in the market, they are very hard to fit on AUVs, at least the current AUVs, and we do believe there is potential for enhancement and improvements. And I mentioned that some of our employees have background from EM, development of EM systems in the seismic business, but also from the Swedish military. So we have patented a few solutions actually, both on passive and also on active EM solutions. We truly believe that this can make a significant difference when it comes to identifying cables, pipelines, deep sea minerals, UXO, and so forth. I think I have a few slides actually that covers this in a little bit more detail. All of this has been patented, yes. We are also working on active acoustic systems to improve the tracking of the vessels beyond just utilizing the multi-beam data and video from the AUVs. And we intend to implement this technology onto both our AUVs and our USVs to truly try and improve the efficiency, but also the data quality that we can provide. A little bit more on these EM systems. I'm no specialist in this by no means, so you can ask me whatever you like. I probably won't be able to answer anyway, but I'll do my very best to line my way through it. But anyway, the thing here is that both with regards to pipe tracking and to measure sort of the electrical field, we believe, or we are not only believe, but testing has shown that we should be able to detect corrosion and so forth, basically finding the creep current between the sacrifice anode and wherever the corrosion is happening, identifying that in a better way than what's currently done. And when it comes to the accuracy of this, we believe that this is absolutely doable and should be more than suitable for feeding back into the control system and actually steering the AUV, but also measuring the burial depth of whatever we are surveying. Then it's on the more active systems that we're also working on. It all started with marine minerals, but then someone came up with the idea that this should probably also work for detection of UXOs. This is something that we intend to have ready for the first field tests in March the coming year. So it's the first prototypes are being built as we speak. So it's not just some fancy pie in the sky. It's actually happening. We have secured a long-term contract for mineral exploration in the Pacific, where we're going to test out this. We hope to get something done here on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge as well, the Norwegian part of it. But we will test this at least in the Pacific for mineral exploration service. What else? I think I'm homing in on the end, actually. Yeah, this is just basically more of the same, so I don't think we should spend a lot of time on that. But this is a little bit interesting because this is the Elam, and we hope to be able to use the whole thing as a long antenna. Put a transmitter in one end and a receiver in the other end. The last thing I will try to cover is what I mentioned about data management. Of course, one is to acquire the data and then it has to be processed, but we want to grow this, and I know that digital twin these days is a little bit of a bullshit bingo thing. By all means, everyone's talking about digital twins. Not a good word necessarily, but we want to host the data. We want to build it into time-lapse or 4D models, if you like, but we want to enhance it and not only use it as a tool to provide data to the client. We also want to use this as a simulator for our own use, to be able to better assess upcoming projects, giving the clients a better estimate of what they can get out of a survey. So synthesizing and running a simulated process of the survey ahead of it is part of the intention. Being able to upload it with weather patterns and so on to see how it impacts the efficiency of the survey, etc. But It's also the plan that this will be a model where the client can feed in sensor data after the construction is done, so that they can see how it affects and get not only just some fine, nice PDFs to look at, but actually get a live model. And again, this is work in progress, and we got awarded, what was it, 12 million NOK from Innovation Norway and the Research Council to enhance this, so to actually work on this. So again, it's not just sort of some fancy pie in the sky. It's something that we're putting a lot of work, time, and effort into. So yeah, this is just trying to put it all into perspective. I'm not sure if it really says very much, but it's really about what I mentioned here, having a simulator where we can run simulations up front before we actually go out and acquire the data, to both give ourselves and the client a better understanding of what we can achieve, the timeline, the cost related to getting the data that you want. Feed it back in again. Having load sensors or whatever you may have on installations like this, you go out and do inspection and you have a circle like this. I think what sort of comes out of this whole process of trying to automate as much as possible is that eventually we want to take humans out of the loop as far as absolutely possible. And again, this is not rocket science, this is being done already, and a lot of companies are doing this to a larger or smaller extent. We intend to go in the same direction and not necessarily move all of our operations into offices and so on, but a larger and larger part of it. And one of our new employees has been working for a USB company recently, and during COVID, he was running USBs from his kitchen table. And so this is actually happening. It's not rocket science. And we are currently building in our offices at Valstad, we are building control rooms as well. I think that was my last slide. I have no clue about the time.
Okay.
So thank you. Questions?
Questions here?
I can't guarantee that I can answer, but I can give it a try.
There's a lot of very nice talk in there, and I think a lot of companies would be quite impressed if they were talking the same sort of language. But how receptive is the industry, or the many different industries, being to what you're trying to sell them?
I'm not heavily involved in the sales part of this, but my impression, based on a lot of the presentations that has been done, because there is obviously an active sales force behind this, is that the feedback is extremely positive. There is both from the larger wind farm companies, oil and gas companies, they all want this to happen. That's clear. It's a conservative business, by all means, in particular the oil and gas, obviously, and it's going to be a bit of a leap from, but I think luckily we have companies like Equinor here in Norway that typically are, if not first movers, they are early movers at least on this type of new technology. So I hope that will help us. So far we haven't done much towards Equinor, but it's clearly on our list. We've had meetings with the likes of BP, Total, Ørsted, quite a few other companies as well. I don't have the full overview here, but there's a lot of positive feedback and response, and also the various national organizations dealing with deep sea minerals. They are screaming for this because they see this is a vital tool. Without this, it won't work. So very positive, but obviously we need to sell this as well. But the market seems to be keen, but there is obviously some hurdles that we need to cross, by all means.
Do you have any projects per se? Do you have much backlog, or is it one
None
of
that
those?
I can really talk about here, I think. No, but yes, we have. I guess I can mention the one because that was part of the process with Teledyne when we purchased the Sea Raptors, and that there is a buyback deal or a leaseback deal, and that stretches over 3 years, and there's a significant amount of data to be acquired in the Pacific. So that is firm backlog. There are some other stuff as well, but I don't think this is a forum to discuss it.
The ASV, how long is that in your design?
The one up here is 7.99 meters long, a little bit longer if you measure the engine as well, but there is a particular reason since it's 7.99 meters. You need to keep it low, under 8 meters, certifications and stuff like that.
But, if you go offshore, how do you see the use of ASVs for larger scale AUV survey? Because I guess you need surface support.
You do, yes. But our ambition is that, at least for some type of surveys, deep offshore, I don't think we're going to use the ASVs very much for surveying. That's more as a topside unit for AUVs, with some exceptions, because we do deal in the UHR seismic business as well, and we have clear ambitions to move in that direction and make that autonomous as well, and basically run a full site survey without putting a support vessel offshore, just using this. I mean, there is no problem scaling them. So we clearly have an ambition to see what we can get out of this, because this is our first one. We have used USVs up until now, but only stuff that we have rented. So this is our first USV. We intend to test out quite a bit, and that's the reason why we have this modular backdeck, so we can put different types of equipment onto it. But we hope to be able to go there and do UHR surveys and so forth. Sail them up from Bergen or Stavanger or wherever, and they have an endurance. This one has an endurance of 30 days. So you can survey quite a lot of stuff in 30 days. So we believe there is clearly an opportunity for using this, and a few other markets as well. I mean,
And what was the endurance of this gun in AUV?
that's about 50 hours. Yeah. The model that we have purchased now, we are in dialogue with them for a rate extender for up to 10 days.
It's a big step.
It's a major step, yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bjorn.
I've got one more question.
Christian, before you go.
Sorry. Can you explain digital twin? I can't pronounce it.
No, I struggle a little bit. It's I guess what you call my background is for seismic. It's a 4D model. I mean, it's introducing, at least for us, it's introducing the time element into your data model. So not only showing snapshots from the data you acquired, but stacking data up both in time and space. That's important for us. But it's also, and it can be related to any offshore project. I mean, they're building digital twins currently of buildings and offshore installations and so on. Those are just digital models of the construction itself. We intend to do some of the same stuff, but more related to survey data, hydrographic, and geophysical data, basically. Yeah, I'm not the specialist on the digital twin thing, but maybe next time we can invite Torbjørn Rekdal instead.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Moving to the picture.
Picture. Here you are, Bjorn. Thank you for your presentation.
Bribery? Didn't think that was allowed. Thank you.
It's so expensive. Yeah. Thanks for the viewers watching me. Okay. Okay, our next presenter is Roa Kwam from Norwegian. or North Coast, if you want to try and translate from Norwegian.
Norwich is fine.
Sorry?
Norwich is fine.
Not it's fine. He was educated within international marketing from the Pace School in Bø. During his career, worked as, amongst other things, commercial director in TW Offshore, project manager in Ocean and Subsea, Electric, and as business development manager in DNVGL. Has a lot of experience in interface between sales and project management, and what sales are required to give a successful project for both the customer and his own company. He joined the survey industry, when he became business development manager in Parker Maritime in 2016, and he's occupied with developing the branch and ensuring delivery of quality products at the right price.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the invitation to present Nordkyst here at NOSP. I'm going to speak a little bit about Nordkyst. I'm also touching a little bit about the certification of Norwegian Hydrographic Office, the security law in Norway. Small slide about the Nordkyst equipment and capabilities. After the first presentation, that probably is a little bit short. Present the team Nordkyst, and also what we see is the problem. And then a little bit about the executed project over the last 2 years and how we see the future. So I was going to talk about, in the invitation it says newbies or new beginners. But Nordkyst is actually, I think I've been in the industry for 50 years. Former known as a Blom Maritime, Scan Maritime, Parker Maritime, and latest Wise Survey. We did a management buyout in 2018 and created the Wise Survey. And last year we changed name to Nordkyst. I think you all know that we're a Norwegian company operated in the coast of Norway. 2020 was we tripled the revenue and had again a positive results. We got new investors, and I think we performed close to 40-50 projects. Some of them large, some of them small, but all in all. And here are some of our clients below. On the right side, you see a fresh digital terrain model from south of Norway. Actually, it's Kristiansand. And you see the reason for doing seabed mapping in Norway. Okay, a little bit about the certification. When we started up, we, or former Parker Maritime and Blom Maritime, that worked for the Norwegian Hydrographic Office or Kartverket for 20 years. But suddenly they took in this certification, which was fine. And we decided to do this certification by Norwegian Hydrographic Office. And for a small company and a new beginner, it's a pretty high cost. But what it means is actually that you need a high quality of what you're doing, and you also need a hydrographic experience in order to qualify for this certificate. I also have to say that we expect more business to come out of it from Kartverket, which has not yet happened. They had some Corona funding last year where they're setting out, I think it was 10 harbors out for competition, but it's not too much, to put it that way. So hopefully it will be more in the future. And I also have to mention that we applaud if more companies come into to become certified to raise the level of the survey industry near the coast. Yes, in Norwegian territorial waters, you need to apply for permit. Higher resolution than or density higher than 50 meter. I'm not sure that everyone is aware of this, and I'm not sure of the public is aware of it either. And there is actually a penalty sentence of 12 months imprisonment for breaching this law. At the moment, there is guidance for this law out for commenting, and you maybe know this as well, but the rumors is claiming that down to 30 meter will be released, but you still need to notify the Norwegian Hydrographic Office, and you still need to send in the raw material to the Norwegian Hydrographic Office. Not many of the companies that are doing survey are sending in this today, but it's still obliged today. Here is our beauty. As I said, the capacity is far less than Argeo have, but she is tailor-made, 8.5 meter, can be transported by truck on the road without follow car. And this year she actually have been to Finnmark twice, and she's been to Kristiansand, and actually she's traveling through Sweden and Finland as well. So probably more kilometer on the road than in on the water, but she's a good one. And for those who have been to Indonesia, you probably know where the name come from. Drinking a beer in Indonesia is, and actually that came from these guys that I'm working with. They had a project on in Indonesia back in the 90s. They never told me how much they surveyed, but the name is still good tag, so you can do the math. Yeah, she is instrumented with EM 2040, and from Kongsberg, sitting representatives here in the audience. And we also have the opportunity to mount a bow pole for a geophysically survey on the front, and we can put an A-frame in the back for light surveying. Here our team. I'm well introduced by the speaker here. We got Rolf Arne. He had been not 45, but he corrected me, 46 years in the industry. And for those who know him, he's not intended to retiring yet. And then we have Morten and Frøyland and Truls Kjær. They are very good out in the field. Never experienced they have turned down a project because things can happen in the field, but they fix it. And the last employee is Andrei Uglov. He actually came from PGS, so I've been working there for 15 years. It's looking very promising. Then we have the board of directors, Ed Tveit, the chairman, Merete Berge Påskø, Kevin Murphy, and myself is sitting on the board. We also established an advisory board recently, where we have Brage Johansen. He is a build up Zaptec, the electric charger company, been involved in desert control, and is now CEO in Heimdall Power. We got Ed Tveit. In the 90s, he built up PSI and sold to T.D. Williamson, American company. For those who are familiar in the oil industry, it's a smart plug. And then we have Merete Berge Påskø. She is managing director in offshore, North Sea Offshore, very good in marketing. She's in the board of Viking Football, which I just saw had scored on the stadium here. Then we have Kevin Murphy from he's CCO in Havram, and Sjur Paulsen, which among other had experience from Gelman Kiese. And all these have invested in Norwest this year. So thinking we're building a strong team for the future. These are some of our partners that I want to mention. We have a good cooperation with GeoPlus, which is doing the interpretation of the geophysics from Norwest. Innomar is doing remote survey when we are out doing geophysics. And then we have established a good cooperation with Aquaplan Niva for environmental survey. So, a little bit about the problem. The ocean is in trouble. As Ajeo also mentioned here, the coast is not digitized. There is lack of vital data. And yeah, you can read all of this, but there is no exact knowledge on effect on the ecosystem. Norwest, we acknowledge this phase, and we want to contribute to a safe navigation and operation in the coastal area by map and monitor in a healthy ocean. So that is our vision for or mission for the future. Here's a little bit about what we do. We've done a lot of cable route survey. We have done backscatter mapping. Came out from multi-beam survey, and that become more and more popular, especially for the environmental survey. Some sub-bottom profiler project. We have, of course, done desktop study for decommissioning of platform. We have cable route planning, etc. The biggest market for us, probably in terms of number of projects, have been third-party verification of depth after dredging, etc. We got a frame agreement with the Kystverket or Norwegian Coast Guard this year, meaning that after each dredging they have done in the harbor, they need a third-party verification, and we have been there, available, while the Norwegian Hydrographic Office was occupied in Svalbard, I have to say, because Kystverket have a frame agreement with them as well. Also want to mention volume control of landfill in the sea. It's not a huge market, but this actually today, one of the entrepreneur he claimed that there was 1 meter difference between our numbers and his. And that's true because we calculate according to the title. And it's very expensive for them to do wrong in this area. So they go in with a cheap survey, but it ends very expensive for them. But what can we do? So here's a quote from our grand old man, Rolf Arne Ueland. It is easy to make it look good, but difficult to make it right. And that's a good quote, I think, because that is what we try to achieve as a company as well, delivering quality data, which can be trusted. Okay, going over to some of the project we have executed in 2020, 2021. This survey in 2020 we did for Skagenfiber, now acquired by Altibox. They were going to lay down a fiber cable from Larvik to Hirtshals. And first we did a desktop study for them. And afterwards we we charter in a vessel, did the MVS survey and also geophysics to verification of the route. And we also sent Bintang down to Hirtshals for the landfall survey down there. Quite good experience from that one. Also to understand that the museum is important to take into account. Here is a survey from a lake up north. By our cooperation with Aquaplan Niva, we have access to the Otter with the EM2040 MBS on the installed. The challenge in this lake was actually that it was only 70 to 80 centimeter depth. So that was quite demanding. But we gained some decent data from it. And here is from the same lake, where we also did the geophysical survey with a remote operated vessel from Innomar in Germany. And the mantra was here that any data is better than no data, because we know before we started up that it could be challenging. But we get some decent data from the survey. This is from a survey we did last year in Ålesund. Ålesund municipalities and Sula was planning to do a sewage pipe in the water, and they hadn't any access to data, so they decided to go for the full score and survey the whole fjord. And then update this data and send it into to Norwegian Hydrographic Office, which means that the CMAP was updated as well. And the good thing about this one is that the data can be reused. If a geo, for instance, want to use it afterwards, or a telecom company wants to use it to put their pipeline, they can go to the Hydrographic Office, apply for these data. Otherwise, that would be put on a shelf in office or somehow. So we do hope that many more municipalities will follow on this exercise. And it's a fact that I think it's only 31% of the Norwegian sea basin that is mapped with modern technology in Norway, and 5% globally. So it's very low. Here is from a geophysical survey we did in January up in Orkanger, and as you can see, the topography is quite challenging. It's steep, and it was a demanding project. And if you look to the right and see the picture, you can imagine that it was quite cold as well. I think it was down to minus 25 degrees when they did the survey. And a fun thing was that actually that morning they did this survey and the picture was taken. The radiator on the office went wrong, so it was 26 degrees in my office. I got no sympathy from the from the guys in the field. Yeah, here's some quote from our client. Shouldn't brag too much about that, but it's always nice to have a happy client. So, what about the future? Norwich is building a strategy to become a strong partner for the ocean business in the future. And by that, as I said before, we want to to be a partner in achieving a safe navigation in a healthy ocean. The picture on the left described that not that we are going to start with cargo, but that we want to have a good underkeel clearance. The vessels are getting larger and larger, and we want to contribute to Kartverket to ensure safe navigation in the coastal area, because our main target is be from 12 nautical miles and into the coast. There is a lot of other players who are going offshore, and we think that we can play a major role in the nearshore area. That was all. Thanks for the attention.
We have time for some questions, if there's any. Stuart.
Yeah.
Reputation. How difficult was it to get accredited for Kartverket?
Say again.
How difficult was it to get accredited by Kartverket? Because there aren't that many companies in Norway that are.
It was challenging,
Yeah.
I have to say,
Because there's
and
only
it was time consuming.
and you're only the second. There are only two. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So what are the benefits? I didn't quite catch what the benefits of that are.
One contract. No, actually, if we haven't been certified, we wouldn't get the frame contract with Kystverket, amongst others. But apart from that, it raises the quality in the organization. That is one thing, and that's one important thing as well. But if the market or if Kartverket would like to see more certificated companies and raise the quality of the industry, I'm talking about near coast now for sure. Then they need to put out more work to companies. It's a fact.
Yeah. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Lenta. Thank you. Yes, I'm trying to. I'm just trying to sort out the screen here. Share screen. Bring up the presentation. It's not the. Okay. This evening's third and final presenter is Clitzer from Go Sob Team. He's worked for 12 years in the subsea rental business, mostly as operations and managing director. Educated at Columbia College, Chicago for audio and acoustics, with further business education at the BI High School in Westland here, and Torrance University in Australia. And he puts at the end of it his wife, 3 kids, and a dog. Welcome in there.
Thank you, John. My eyes are not what they used to be. So I'm just gonna. Here we go. Well, first of all, thank you to NOSP for hosting this event, and thank you to Stuart for inviting me to talk a little bit about Go Sob Team. So what do we do at Go Sob Team? I'll get to this soon. I thought I'd share a little story before I get started. So I come from the little island of Kalmøy on the west coast of Norway. When I was a kid growing up at Kalmøy, I grew up in the countryside, surrounded by farms, and they were all tiny little farms with small patches each, and they were all spread out in this mosaic of really tiny farmland properties. But I noticed something very interesting, even as a kid, that most of these farmers, I think, were suffering from something I call THD, which is short for tractor hoarding disorder. So every farm would have, several big, nice tractors and all the farming equipment anyone could ever wish for. It was like farming equipment heaven at every farm. And we were making jokes about this, in our village. What's going on? Can they share some of this equipment? So this kind of brings me to Go Sob Team and in general the rental business and what we do. So really at Go Sob Team, we try and solve this issue of not having a lot of equipment sitting on the shelf everywhere. So instead of, for instance, an expensive sonar sitting on the shelf in Norway, idle between projects, we try and move these things around to other parts, really to get way more utilization. We try to do this on a global scale. So we are really trying to make sort of a sharing economy on a global scale. And we want to take this a lot further than what is being done today. I'll get a little bit back to that exactly how we're going to do it. So when a customer in Norway needs a spread of survey equipment, Go Sob Team will typically reach out to a host of different people, partners, suppliers, customers, and even competitors to fulfill the project requirements in Norway. And it's not always equipment being shared either. It can be know-how, personnel. We can do online training, project meetings, documentation, and so on. But Go Sob Team, we're partners with a company called Unique Group, which some of you may know. So any typical day at Go Sob Team, we will connect with Holland, Aberdeen, Houston, Singapore, Dubai, and Australia to really make sure that all the resources are flowing in the right direction. So that in the end, you can simply receive what you ordered at the right time, at the right place, all customs paperwork in order, tested and calibrated by qualified personnel to your specification. I did not get the memo on the sales pitch, so this is what I have. So there's this kind of fascinating global planning and logistics operation taking place behind the scenes that is usually not seen. And working in the rental business, I thought, I'd share a little bit about this. So every day there's just tons of connections being made to just make sure this piece of equipment, if it's a gyro or whatever it is, it's delivered just like nothing from one place in Norway to another. But it may be several parts coming from Singapore, from Aberdeen or Houston to really make this delivery possible. So throughout the customer's project, our role too will change. So initially we may offer advice, solutions, give advice on cost. When we get into the planning phase, we start sourcing equipment, maybe way before we actually get a PO on the table. Everybody's moving to try and figure out, can we do this? Is it possible? And we start doing testing of equipment, make sure that everything's in place, all the bits and bolts are in place. We're essentially doing kind of the same you will do when you're mobbing onto a vessel, but we're doing it in the lab. When we come to the execution phase, we sort of move more into a support phase where we have 24/7 support, and it's real 24/7 support. You call us, we actually pick up the phone. There's a lot of logistics support we do during this stage as well. And after project, we will supply reports, both to the customers. We will also get in touch with the manufacturers if there are things we need to improve on. And we will, of course, do lessons learned for us internally as well, and then really try to go for continuous improvement of all our procedures. So who is Go Sob Team? Well, we are a young company. We started in February of this year by myself, Odd Olav Schön, who is with me here today, and Oddbjørn Fisnes. All three of us have worked extensively in subsea rentals and sales and subsea product development for most of our careers. We started this company because we believe there's been a host of different technological advancements over the last 10 years that makes it possible to create a different company, which is more agile and efficient than some of the other companies we are working with. However, I think there's too much competition listening, so I won't get into details on this here, but please get in touch with me if you'd like to discuss. We have set up our offices, workshop, and test lab in Karmøy, so in more of a central location, not out in the farmland. So this location we're in, called Husøy, it's an interesting location actually. We're very close to a church, which there's also a Viking site. It was one of the what we at least from our area call the birthplace of Norway. So the strait between Karmøy and Haugesund has been used quite a bit for shipping traffic. So at our location, we're a couple of minutes from the port, which have connections to Aberdeen and mainland Europe every week. We're about 4 minutes from the airport and fairly close to Haugesund, Stavanger, and Bergen. So for us, at least, it's a very good distribution point to move equipment to different places on the Norwegian coastline. I should also mention, in addition to sourcing equipment from all these locations, we of course do have a lot of equipment stocked at our facilities in Karmøy. So what type of equipment and services do we offer? I'll go through these fairly fast. When it comes to rentals, we supply a wide range of equipment. On the geophysical side, we'll have side scan sonars, sub-bottom profilers, and Maggies from all the major manufacturers such as EdgeTech, Marine Magnetics, Kongsberg, Innomar. For hydrography, we'll supply sonars typically from Artusonic and Reson. We also have a substantial pool of oceanographic and environmental instruments for current measurement, wave measurements, and other parameters, typically from Nortec, RDI. We have a large pool of gyros for surface and subsea navigation, motion sensors, and we also supply winches for survey-related tasks. Regarding subsea positioning, we carry the entire standard selection of subsea positioning systems from Kongsberg, Sonardyne, Ixblue, and Applied Acoustics. We have ROV sensors, digiquartz sensor, any type of sensor which is normally used, survey-related tooling, and also the 440 or the 660 or 350 systems from TSS. So to the more exciting and new stuff, we also supply USVs. So through our partnership with Unique Group, we can supply USVs for rental to the Scandinavian market. So Unique Group have developed their own range of smaller USVs called the Unipact and the Unicat, which you can see on the left and in the middle here. These are smaller USVs typically for inshore survey work, and can be really put on the trailer of a car. They're fairly small. The Unipack will be stocked here in Norway, so it's possible to use that on short notice. In addition, Unique Group is the only rental company that has the Ixblue Drex. So we have access to providing the Ixblue Drex as a rental system. All of these USVs can be outfitted with multi-beam sonars, side scan sonars, sub-bottom profilers, LiDARs, ADCPs, and so forth. In terms of what type of work these USVs can undertake, they can do hydrographic survey, coastal and harbor monitoring, infrastructure inspection, seabed mapping, and data harvesting. We also supply a lot of different equipment for sale, connectors, things that are required on short notice during a survey operation, brackets, and we're also an Arctusonic dealer. So this means we can supply systems both for sale and rental, and also provide any servicing or repairs for these units. We also, of course, supply subsea cables, which are made in Karmøy in our facilities if required. And since we have highly skilled electronics engineering personnel on staff, we can offer electronics and mechanical engineering to our customers, should they require any special solutions. And we, of course, deliver personnel to any mobilizations or project support. So this is my last slide. So to sum up, we're a service and technology provider to the subsea survey segment in Scandinavia. I think what perhaps sets us apart is that we're really dialed into solving our customers' challenges on really short notice. And we do this by tweaking and tailoring our systems and educating our training our wonderful staff to the point where we can actually make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
These two smaller USVs, what size are they? I mean, it's a little bit harder than that. Are they electrical powered or?
Yes, they're both electrically powered. I don't remember the exact sizes, but a few meters. Yeah, so fairly small. I can get back to you on some of the
Sure.
This sharing economy that you guys talked about, when you mentioned that, I think we talked about it maybe last week, doing it kind of on. So this is you're saying that you're the version subsea market. Is that what you're and you rely, I presume, on not just talking to the likes of me, you pooling together equipment. Is that essentially how? Do you think that is the future then? Of, instead of buying equipment at huge capex expense, then you can essentially just rent it at a reasonable price for you. Is that how?
Well, that's at least something we're trying to do. I'm not sure everybody wants to do that, but I've done this before too. I know there's equipment, so as long as I know what equipment is, and we have good partnerships with people, I have no problem renting their kit to somebody else. And we have the resources to check if that kit is good, and make sure everything's included. So for us as a small company, to buy, to put down 100 million NOK to buy this huge pool of equipment, it doesn't make sense to me. The equipment's there, we just need to utilize it much better. So I'm very happy to at least start with that way of thinking. And I don't really want to. We'll use competitors, we'll use customers, we'll talk to anybody to do this. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for turning up this evening. And thank you for our online viewers. Hope to see you at the next event. Those online might get a bit jealous now because we've got the room until 8 o'clock and there's lots of good food at the back there. We can still eat and the bar downstairs is open. So I suggest we use the time we have just to mingle, eat, chat and drink. Thank you.